So here's an interesting article that I found over on Kotaku. It's about women play video games. Which is weird. I didn't know women played games. No, seriously, women play games. But, let's go ahead and get into it, because apparently I guess they don't think that people know that women play video games? Yeah. Anyway. And they go with, "Hello, I've come here today to explain something that apparently still needs explaining. Women play video games." All I got to say about that is, no freaking duh. But anyway, I know, it's a radical concept. Yet here, in the year 2017, it's apparently still really easy to assume that despite the fact that A, video games are awesome, I agree with you on there, and B, video games have been a huge part of mainstream popular culture for decades, women do not play video games, but they do. I don't know about games being part of mainstream popular culture for decades, considering growing up as a gamer, you were pretty much the nerd type. You know, the nerd, the weeb, whatever you want to go with. That people didn't kind of look at you because you were not in the in crowd. And I'm kind of only decades old, I guess. But, yeah, I'm going to have to disagree on that one. It's not been a mainstream popular culture thing for decades. Has been for the past few years, say, 5 or 6, maybe 10, maybe a decade. Anyway, but not multiple, not decades. But that's just nitpicking there. They continue. I know that many of you reading this are on the same page. If so, cool. Keep doing what you're doing. But you may be surprised how many people still think women, as a general rule, do not play video games. Yeah, that's probably based on the assumption that women don't generally play games. The ones who do, the main bulk of women who play games, when you do look at studies about saying how many women play games, and they've got about almost a 50-50 or 40-60 split there, where men are the majority versus women are not, a lot of those women are playing casual games such as Candy Crush, Angry Birds, and whatever else is on their phone, and that's about it. They don't normally game. And when we talk about gamers, we're talking about people who are playing Call of Duty, Halo, Final Fantasy, Diablo, WoW, Aeon, Star Trek Online, whatever else that is pretty much is a main story game of some sort that goes out and actually has more to it than Match 3. Or, Knock Over the Pigs or something. That's what we refer to as a gamer. And I'm sorry, you guys don't seem to understand the difference between a gamer and a non-gamer. So you want to try and lump everybody under that umbrella when in reality they're not. But let's continue. But you may be surprised how many people still think that women, in general rule, do not play video games. Ask any woman. You know. Who again? Probably plays video games, and she will likely have a story about someone assuming that she, a woman, does not play games, despite the fact that she does. Yeah, again, let me go back into the past. Usually video games were played by mostly guys, boys. We were ridiculed for it. People were like, oh, gamer, ha ha ha, her. We're playing D&D and other things. There wasn't a whole lot of women who were actually into that, and even today, there are more women who are into that now, because being a nerd is now cool, apparently. That's where they're coming from. When you've got people like me, who don't really normally experience women playing games, and go, oh, you play games too? Awesome. What do you play? Then again, we also assume nobody plays games but us and our close friends who do play games, and that's usually the typical reaction regardless of whether you're man or female. But let's continue. Basically, every woman I know who works in games or plays a lot of games regularly has people assuming she doesn't. A quick survey today of several of the women I work alongside at Kotaku confirmed that yes, this is a frequent occurrence. In fact, for women at game conferences like E3, it often gets a lot worse than having someone assume you don't play video games. The basic truth of the matter still bears repeating, however, so I'm going to repeat it now. Women play video games. Yeah, okay, survey at Kotaku, no offense, but I honestly would ask the question, do journalists play video games? We saw that awful gameplay of Doom not that long ago, and you all want us to believe that you play something more than that's not a casual smartphone game? I'm sure some of them do, but come on. Journalists play video games? That would be my question. Do journalists play video games? Or gaming journalists play video games? Because sometimes the way you people talk, especially like this article here, I'm going to assume you don't play video games. You're not really in the gaming community. You just try to be because you are a journalist of gaming. But anyway. The assumptions I'm talking about is rarely made with the intentions of hurting someone's feeling. Like most assumptions, it doesn't require much thought at all. But if you have ever assumed that maybe women don't play video games, take this opportunity to remind yourself that, in fact, they do. Again, we know women play games, and we generally will probably assume that most people don't play games and are pleasantly surprised when we run into somebody who's into Final Fantasy or something like we are. Go, oh, you enjoy Final Fantasy too? What was your favorite? What was this? What was that? Did you enjoy doing this? Stuff like that. And it goes both ways, men and women. Let's continue. If you are a man, or if you're not, at a social gathering talking with some friends about video games, and a woman comes up and joins the conversation, do yourself a favor. Assume she plays video games. Don't ask, do you play video games? Instead, ask, what kind of games do you play? No. I'm sorry, I don't care if you're a man or a woman. If me and my buddies are sitting here talking about the new Necromancer coming out for D3, and we're talking about the different skills, different stuff, what we were going to do with ours, what we want to try and build, and set things up in advance so when it comes out, we can all get on together and have fun all at the same time playing the Necro and stuff, and some woman or guy comes walking up and interjects themselves into our conversation out of the blue that we don't know. Yes. Our first question's probably going to be like, do you play D3? And if their answer is no, then they're probably going to sit there quiet while we continue to talk and go on about what we were doing, and then they will probably just wander off because they've got nothing to contribute to the conversation that they felt like they needed to inject themselves into. But let's finish this off. If she says, oh, I don't really play games, no big deal. Change the subject, TV, or music, or weather. Some people may argue that the weather is not an interesting subject of conversation. I say there's a reason it's a conversational default. But if she does play video games, chances are she will have repeatedly dealt with people who assume that she doesn't, which is dumb, because women play video games. They just do. That's the end of the article, anyway. But yeah, no offense. If she says, oh, I don't really play games, then you're right, it is no big deal, because we will continue to talk about video games, excluding her that she has just interjected herself into and not change our subject just based on some random stranger coming up and saying, hey, what you talking about? Talking about D3 and the new Necro. Oh, do you play D3? No, I don't really play video games. Okay. Can we help you with anything? No, not really. Okay. and then continue our conversation about D3. It's exactly how it's going to go. Whether you're a man or a woman, it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to sit there and change the subject while we're in the middle of deep conversation about something. Saying, my buddy's going to do a Zoom answer, and we're discussing what skills he's going to need to pick up, what items we need to look for, and other stuff, and go, oh, well, since this chick has interjected herself into our conversation, so how about the weather? It's kind of sunny and hot out today, isn't it? Or did you see, the latest Supergirl? Because then, what about our conversation? Seriously, we've got no reason to sit here and talk to somebody randomly that's a stranger, unless they've got similar interests to us. Why should we change what our topic of discussion is just for them? Whether it's a man or a woman. And yeah, the conversation will probably lead with, do you play? Oh, you don't? Okay. And if they do, then great, they can contribute to the conversation. Oh, we were just talking about D3. Do you play? Why, yes, I do. I do play D3. I love Diablo. I love Blizzard games. I play WoW, Heroes, all of them. Oh, you do? That's awesome. What do you think about the Necro that's coming out? And then we can, have the conversation continue as we were. But I'm not going to sit there and change the conversation regardless. And yeah, women do play games. It's not like it's a hidden secret or anything. But what do you think? Comment down below. Does it bother you if somebody asks you, oh, do you play games? Male or female, doesn't matter. I just want to know how you feel about that. Do you get irritated when you have to say, oh yeah, I play games? Because that is an actual interesting thing I want to know. Anyway, comment that stuff down below. Till next time, see you later.